Hey, welcome to another episode of Legion Elite Motorsports. I'm your host, Isaiah. And today we're going to continue the upgrading of this yellow Quest. And let's jump into it. Okay, and we are back at it. Okay, so this is rock hard. All right. And now we can leave this as is. Not going to pour any oil out of there. So that's good. And next, what we're going to do, because we're going to do a couple of different things, is we're going to put our power wire in through the firewall because we're relocating the battery to the trunk. So here's our wire for that. This is a 0 gauge. So, yep, we're gonna slide this through there and we're gonna start running it through the carpet to make it all the way to the trunk. All right, so let's get to that. And then after that, we have more goodies to connect. Okay, so the wiring has come through there perfectly. And our distribution block is gonna go here. Our ground, we can leave it as is, or we can power up ground to something else. Doesn't really matter. So that looks good. Next, we're going to run this wire all the way to the trunk. I'm going to go through the center console, under the seat, and under the back seat, and all of the wire will be in the trunk. So let me do that, and that will be done. Alrighty. All right, so yep, simple enough. Be right back. Okay, so that wire is neatly ran to the trunk. So now, let me take this out of the way for a second. So now, it's time for MSD. All right, so let's grab this. Okay, we got the new harness. We got this wire that goes to the distributor. And we have our MSD 6425. I already preset the rev limit. So that's good, that's done. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna wire up all of this first. And these loops here, you cut both of them for 4-cylinder, you cut one of them for 6, or none of them for 8-cylinder. So that works out well. And we're going to break down the wiring. So, look at our wires. All right, this guy, green and violet, purple, is for the distributor. This is how it's going to know when to fire the coil. Then next, you have this red and orange, which looks like red, but it's actually orange. This goes to the coil, which will be that guy right there, which we're going to be changing to. And that's positive and negative. Can't get any simpler than that. Then these two wires right here, the black and red, this is power and ground for the MSD. Then over here, you have your TAC output, which is gray. You have your red, which is ignition switch, and white we're not going to be using. So that's pretty simple. And if you ever get confused, on the back of the MSD always has instructions. So boom, so that's everything you need to know about this. And now we're gonna wire everything in. So let's just lay this down here for a second. All right, so as we know, this is our distributor, right? I'm thinking about making it to where it plugs in like factory, but I think we're gonna skip it. So we're gonna wire directly to this. Now, I'm gonna cut all three of these wires. One of these wires is not gonna be used because it's actually shielding for the distributor wire, and we're not gonna need it. So let me cut this, and I'm gonna show you exactly what each one of these are and what they do. And I'm gonna have to clean it a little so you could actually see the color. So I'll be right back. Okay, so now we got the wires out. All right, so we have white and yellow. I believe no matter what year, the power is always going to be white. This is a 89, so it's still going to be white, and that's the power. And then this yellow one is ground. There's going to be a third wire, and what that third wire is insulated ground. So you're not going to use that at all as you pull back the wires, but your power goes to violet, and your ground goes to green, which is the yellow. Yellow is ground, white is power. All right, so we're going to connect this and take it from there. All right, and those are soldered and heat shrink. So I'm going to use electrical tape just to cover this up. Okay, so now this is permanent, wrapped up. And the good thing about it is you can disconnect it here for service or maintenance or whatever you want to do. So that is a plus. So that part is done. We are going to connect the power and ground, which is the heavy wire. So that should be easy. So my power is going to go to the distribution block, which is not here yet, but it will be. So that's going to go to there. Ground, I'm going to button it up down there. And let's get that started. Okay, and now we're going to do the ignition switch wire, because our ground and our power is where we want it to be. So that's done. So our ignition switch wire is the black and white stripe wire on the positive side of the coil. So we're just going to cut that. Reason being is because we're going to have to connect the ECU to the ignition switch, including the MSD. So we are going to take our ignition switch wire, which is this thin red one. We're going to pull the skin back. We're going to connect this wire here, and also we're going to connect the computer. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. Let's move this stuff out the way. And in our nicely loomed section, and these have tags on it, so that it takes the guesswork out. So let me unravel this. And then we're going to grab the ignition switch from this bundle. And we're going to plug these three in. Alrighty. Also, this has continuous power once the car is running, so that's going to come in handy. Alrighty, so let's see. Right. These are all injectors. All right, here we go. Right here is power and ground. And pink one is ignition switch 12 volt. Let me clear it up there so you can actually see it. So we're going to connect the pink one with the black and white and the red from the MSD, slim red. And we will be right back. Okay, so these three wires are soldered and heat shrink together. And now what we're going to do is we're also going to connect the power and ground for the ECU since we're here. All right, so we're going to put the ground at the same spot as the other one. And power is going to be to the distribution block, which still has to be ordered. And yes, we're going to connect that. Okay, so we ended up doing the ground right here instead. All the way down there was a bit of a stretch and no need to pull any wires. So next is our feed to this coil. Now we're going to be changing this coil out, but I'm going to show you guys how it's going to go. And basically, once you connect these two wires to the coil, nothing else can be connected to the top of this coil, otherwise it's going to burn. The amperage that comes out of these wires are pretty intense. So, with that being said, everything that's on the ground, you can connect it to the ECU. The ECU has a TAC output from the computer, and that's what you're going to connect that stuff to. And that should give you RPM signal and stuff like that. If the RPM gauge can read the sine wave. If not, you're going to have to get a TAC output, and that's a whole different story. But, yeah, so we're going to connect these two to the positive and negative. So I'm going to change these to accommodate, and I'll be right back. All right, so we're just going to put those wires right there, just so we know. And then the last wire for the MSD is the gray wire, which is the TAC output. And that goes to this wire over here, which is not even here because when you get these used, some people forget the single wire plug for this. So if you do get it used, make sure they have it. But if you don't have this wire, instead of spending additional money, you can actually take this one, because it is the exact same plug, and plug it into here. You're only going to use one wire from that bunch. Going to go on, and this is looking at the ECU, it's going to go here, which is the bottom left hand side, which is supposed to be red, and now it's going to be a different color because of this different plug. But regardless to what, let's see, it seems to be gray with the green stripe. So that's going to plug into here. And that one single wire is going to plug into the TAC output wire of the MSD, which is gray. So once that connects to this computer, it's going to tell the computer when to fire the injectors. So that wire is very important. If it is not connected, it will not start. All right, so we're gonna chop this harness, connect the plug, and then we're gonna run it through our rubber grommet up there, all the way to the TAC output wire, and then that will conclude the MSD being connected. Okay, so I soldered and heat shrink the wire, and it's now yellow, and it's going all the way through the grommet, and I tuck this wire up so it's not hanging down near the pedals like the rest of it. But we come to the engine bay and boom, we have our wire. So I'm going to connect this to the TAC output, and I'm going to run that wire, and it should be good to go. Then MSD connectivity is complete. Okay, so next what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to organize your wires from your engine computer. Okay, so this bundle is all of your aux input and outputs. We're not going to be using this currently. This one is for our fuel pump to turn it on and off. This loop is for all of the injectors, all four. This one, let me clear it up, is for the oxygen sensor. This one's for air temperature. This one's for TAC output. So everything on the negative side of here goes to the TAC output right here. Then the next one is water temperature. And after that, we have TPS. So it's very simple to hook up. And we have the vacuum from the computer for the map sensor. And that is it. So once the intake manifold is complete, we're going to wire everything up and tuck these wires away as neatly as possible and take it from there. Okay, so we're gonna pop the valve cover back on, tighten that up because we don't need to go into this area anymore. So we're gonna get that done now. There we go, that looks good as new. So now, what we're gonna do is we're going to add in our distribution block for power. So I'm gonna show you guys how to do that. And that part will be complete. From that point, you can pretty much mount it wherever you see fit or wherever's best. So we're going to just have that stagnant for now because we still have to mount the MSD, tuck wires, and stuff like that. So let's at least get everything connected and see what our options are. Okay, so here is our original battery terminal. So we have these two white, one black, and this thick black one with a red stripe. This one goes to the starter, so that is very important. So what we're gonna do is use the wire cutters, cut all of this off. We're going to take some of the skin off or peel it back, and we're going to put it into our distribution block. Now, our distribution block has multiple sizes, which is great. And then our big blue wire goes on this side. So we're going to connect everything up as you would a regular battery terminal. And this blue wire is in the trunk with the battery. So it's gonna act as if the battery is up front, even though it's not. So we're going to connect everything from here, take a look, and any accessories Visa computer, MSD, or what have you, we can always add into the distribution block without a problem. So let me chop it up, dice it up, and I'll see you in a second. Okay, and just like that, everything is connected. So starter has a clean connection, including the factory accessories. We have the computer and MSD on this side, and our main power right here on this side. It looks kind of spread out, but I'm pretty sure if these white wires aren't too crispy, we might be able to flex this and lay it down somewhere, which is a problem we're going to jump into as soon as we are all done and get this car started with the new computer. But before we do that, we're going to jump back over to the intake manifold. All right, improve the lighting here a little bit. So for our janky intake manifold, we have fuel injector clinic. All right, let's see what we got. Oh, that is beautiful. All right, and then we have O-rings and things here. And we have these injectors now. These are 120 pound. And I believe these are 1000 cc or something in that area. We have the EV1 connector, which is DSM style or original conquest style, which is great. And also, these are low impedance. Now, depending on your computer, depends on what's required. So the older model, LT10S and LT10C, is two different computers. The LT10C is high impedance injectors, which are those guys there. And then LT10S is low impedance. So I'm pretty sure that varies depending different models, but if you do get the computer used, ask the previous owner what injectors were he running and what were the impedance, and take it from there. So we got some fresh new ones here, and we are going to fit these into the intake manifold here. And also I had him order my go-to fuel pressure regulator. This one I have on every single one of my Starquest. And reason being is because it's amazing. This thing does everything I need it to do without skipping a beat. So it's perfect. Only thing I do have to do is order another one of these 6AN to 3/8 barb fitting, and I should be good to go. I think it's a lot simpler just to slide a line on it, little hose clamp, and be done. So there's that. Comes with a fluid filled gauge, and you can put it on either side, whichever one works best for you. I'm thinking I'm going to have it on this side and the bottom. And when you put on the gauge, you have to use Teflon tape. Otherwise, it's going to spill fuel out of there. So there's that. But in general, every single one of my cars have it. See that? And it works wonders. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So, yeah, I'm gonna put that gauge together and also get that set up for the MPI. Hey, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that bell icon so you get updated notifications, and I will see you next time.